Welcome to this Acumatica tutorial. My name is Zach Mayer with the Mayer Group, and today we're going to take a high-level look at the bill of material screen and how we would go about creating a brand new bill of material. To begin, we're going to look for our bill of material workspace, which I currently have in the very bottom left corner of my screen, but it may be hidden in the More Items section. So if you can't see it on your sidebar, take a look in that More Items, and you can always pin it to your side panel if that's one that you're frequently using with the little push pin icon we can see on each of these workspaces. In the Bill of Materials workspace, we're going to be starting with, hopefully not too much of a surprise, the Bill of Material profile screen. Now we could use our shortcut tile right here at the top to start entering a new bill of material. We could hover over and click that plus new button, or we could go into the bill of material inquiry view and begin the entry process using our plus sign at the top. By coming into the inquiry screen, we see all of our current bill of materials that are in the system already. We see each of their BOM IDs, revisions, part numbers, as well as some high-level information. If there is a particular bill of material you're looking for and you don't see it on this list, there is a good chance that it is on hold and not currently in an active status. By default, this screen only shows active bill of materials. So as soon as we unselect that, additional bill of materials will populate that are in an on hold or an inactive status. For now, we're just worried about entering a brand new bill of materials, so we're going to click on our plus sign to begin entering that new BOM. In this demo company, we are auto-numbering our bill of material IDs. So I see the word new here. I do not need to worry about providing that BOM identifier. BOM IDs could also be manually defined. So if you wanted a BOM ID to match a part number, that is always an option. Just something to keep in mind is a BOM ID can only go up to 15 characters, whereas your inventory ID could go up to 30. So there could be some discrepancy there. Make sure you're not trimming off those BOM IDs if they go beyond 15. Underneath the BOM ID will be our revision. Could be a number, could be a letter, whatever revision sequence you'd like to use will absolutely work. In this case, we are starting with revision A. We're then going to select our part number, the parent item that we're building, whether this is a finished good or a subassembly, whatever this bill of material instructions are going to be set for. I'm going to find my part one of three ways. I can start typing in the part number, start typing in the description of the item, or use my magnifying glass to pull up my search window. If you saw our previous inventory items or stock item walkthrough, this test item might look a little familiar. That is the part we're going to build this bill of material for. Once I've selected my part number, I'm going to see the start date, which auto or defaults to the current day that you're entering the bill of material. It's assuming that as soon as I take this BOM off of hold, it is going to be valid that I can start building production orders off of this bill of material. If this bill of material will expire, I can always set an end date as well, but as soon as you archive a bill of material, once it's obsolete or there's a new revision available, it will auto-fill out that end date for you through the archive action. And then of course we have a description field. This is specific to the bill of material, so it is different from the description of your part number, but if you want those to match, that is always an option. So just for this example, I'm just going to copy and paste the description of my item into the description of my bill of material. Once we have the header filled out, we are moving down to the first of our two tables on this screen, the first table being our operation table. The operations are going to be the steps of production or your routings. The first field being the operation ID, which is a manually defined value. It is just the sequence that your operations occur in. So what we typically recommend, and it can be whatever sequence you would like your operations to be named, we always start with operation 10. The reason for that is you're giving yourself 4 characters, and we increment each operation in groups of 10. So if I pick operation 10, my next operation would be operation 20. The reason we suggest doing so is in future revisions, if you have a new revision of this bill of material down the road, and maybe you want to insert a new step of production that falls between your first 2 existing operations, you have given yourself space in between 10 and 20 to insert those new operations and have them fall into that proper sequence. But regardless of what you choose for your operation ID, the more functional value that you're going to be selecting on each operation is the work center. Your work center is defined on the work center screen. If I go back into the bill of materials workspace, I'm going to find work centers underneath profiles. This is where we would configure a new workspace or a new work center in Acumatica. The work center is going to drive your standard cost, your basis for capacity, if you have any default times that you would like to populate, scrap action, your backflushing defaults, shifts, overhead, machines, all different elements of production will be defaulted by your work center. So for our first one, we're going to pick work center 10 to correspond with operation 10. And in this demo, that is our assembly operation. We can then define each of the times, how long it takes to set up this operation, how long does it take to run this operation per quantity that I am producing, any machine time, queuing up the next operation, finishing, and moving, all broken down for this one step of production. Now you need to have at least one operation per bill of material, but you don't need to have more than one. So if you're not tracking multiple different steps of production, you can always create your bill of material with only one operation, but we're going to go ahead and enter a second one for this example. So my second step of production here, after assembly, we're going to pick inspection. We have our backflushing labor options, whether or not we are going to have the backflushing process be manually entered, whether you're doing clock entry or a manual labor entry, or if we're just having our defaults go and calculate that value for us, as well as, our scrap action if we wanted to have write-off, quarantine, or no scrap action set. Moving down past our operations, once we've configured each of those, is going to be the materials table. What are the actual components that are going into our bill of material? What's important to note is the materials are specific to the operation you are assigning them to. So my operation 10 has a completely independent list of components from operation 20. So as I am entering my components, I want to make sure I have the proper operation selected. In this case, I can see the pencil icon next to operation 10. So whatever component I choose is going to be assigned to my operation 10. Maybe I have a quantity of 2 of this first item, and then we're going to throw a second item on here with a quantity of 1. We can see any unit cost information, if it's available, gets pulled in. We are going to be backflushing our materials, as well as if we wanted to set a warehouse, location, etc., all available broken down by material. Now these are all recorded against operation 10, so as soon as I click on operation 20, I'm going to see no materials listed. If I wanted to have no materials on this step of production, that is perfectly okay, or maybe I do have a completely different part stored here under operation 20, quantity of 3, so operation 10 will have 2 components, operation 20 will have 1. Some other elements of the material table, if we wanted to record steps that we could print on our production ticket, they are informational. We have a description field. We could store notes or attachments against those steps, but we can store those here. We could attach tools if we've set up or configured any tools in the system that we would like to link to one of these operations. If we want to enter any overhead, we can select an overhead ID that's already been previously configured. Or if we want to track any outside processing and select a vendor account if we are drop shipping as well. Those are going to be each of the elements of the bill of materials screen. It can seem daunting, but once you've gone through 1 or 2 examples, it can be a pretty easy process to get a hang of entering those materials underneath the operation and getting all of your materials linked into your BOM record. Once we have all of our operations, all of our materials ready, we can go ahead and activate this BOM so that we can actually use it for a production order. We would do that by removing the hold, and we're going to see that status updates to active. Now I can go ahead and use that BOM on a production order, and if I go into my stock item record and I go to my manufacturing tab, I'm going to see that brand new bill of material ID already linked to my stock item record. From here, if I wanted to create another bill of material that's very similar to this BOM, there's a really nice built-in feature for copy BOM. It's going to allow me to copy all of the information, all of my operations, my materials, my steps, anything I put on this bill of material. I can copy to a brand new revision and a brand new BOM number with either the same part or a completely different inventory ID, and I can choose whether or not I want those notes to come over as well. I can run a compare BOM inquiry, which can be really nice to compare two different bill of materials or two different revisions of the same bill of material. And while we're talking about revisions, very easy to create a brand new revision of your BOM as well. I would go into the existing bill of material record, in this case BOM number 30 for our test item. I would click into my revision box and simply type B or whatever my next revision value is. I'm going to see it's immediately on hold, and we are now able to enter a new bill of material record. In this case, my new revision simply has an additional component in operation 10, for example. Maybe we added this brand new part, and we upped this first component to a quantity of 3 rather than 2. Once I save that revision, I now see both of them in the system in that revision lookup window. If I wanted to go ahead and activate revision B, I could have both active, or I could come back to my revision A, and I can archive that bill of material. It's going to update my status to archived. I can no longer place revision A on new production orders because it's now in an archived status. That end date has been populated automatically for me as soon as I archived it. Now we can take a look at both of those revisions side by side in my compare BOM inquiry to get a really nice visual idea of what changed between revision A and revision B. I'm going to put revision A on the left-hand side just so we can see the original one first, and then we're going to put revision B on the right. It's going to show visually a green check mark for anything that remained exactly the same between either these revisions in this example or if I was comparing two different BOMs. In this case, they both had Operation 10, Operation 20, no change there. And the component in Operation 20 has not changed as well. The difference being, I have a yellow exclamation point for my component that had a quantity change. If I click on that component, I can see revision A had a quantity of 2 required, revision B had a quantity of 3, and that cost associated with the difference in quantity is reflected as well. And then we can see a red X for a component that has completely changed between revisions. It was not on revision A at all. It is a brand new component that is being introduced in revision B. So this can be a really nice visual tool to see what has changed amongst your bill of materials. That is going to wrap up at a high level how we go about building bill of materials. Of course, there is more nuance to it in a real environment, so if you have any further questions on building a bill of material, do not hesitate to reach out to the Mayer Group, as well as make sure to subscribe to our channel to see other tutorials in the future that may help with this process as well. Give this video a like if you found this tutorial helpful, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.